Okay, so today we're going to talk about solving one variable inequalities. The first thing I want for you to do is I want you to pause the video and I want you to copy everything you see on page 52. So go ahead and pause, copy all of this down in your journal on page 52. Make sure you leave yourself some room in between the equations so we can solve. All right, now that you've written all of that down, what you need to know is that solving inequalities is exactly the same as solving something with an equal sign, except for one thing. So really, there's nothing new to learn today. You're just going to solve like you've always known how to solve. The only difference is we're going to change the equal sign into an inequality, so our answers will be a little bit different. That being said, we need to first make sure we understand what each inequality is. This first inequality here is less than. This second inequality over here is greater than. Make sure you're copying all this into your notes also. This inequality down here is less than or equal to because it has the line underneath it. And the last one is greater than or equal to. So when we have the line underneath it, we say or equal to, okay? Okay, the only new rule you need to know, the only thing that makes this different from an equation is that when solving inequalities, if you multiply or divide, we didn't say anything about add or subtract. If you multiply or divide by a negative number, you must flip the inequality symbol, okay? That means if you had a less than, it's going to become a greater than, and vice versa. Make sure you wrote that down. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take example 1. We're going to solve for y. So if y is my variable, I want y to be alone. And in order to get y to be alone, first we need to figure out where our sides are. So just like we draw a line down the equal sign, we're going to draw a line down the inequality symbol because that's what's in place of the equal sign. If I need y alone, the minus 2 needs to go away. And we know the opposite of minus 2 is add 2. So the 2's are gone. I have a y. I still have this less than symbol, and 6 plus 2 is 8. That is the answer. But we're going to do one better, and we're going to write that answer into words. Y is less than 8 is just like saying we have all real numbers. Any number you could think of, less than 8. Any number that's less than 8 is a solution to this first example. So we could say if y was 5, that's less than 8, so that's a good answer. Okay, so write it in words, that's important. Okay, example number 2. First draw your line, and then we need to get a all alone. If I need a alone, I need to move the 12 and the negative 3. Remember, you move the one that's a little further away first. So to move the positive 12, I'm going to subtract 12. Bring down negative 3a, your greater than symbol. 18 minus 12 is 6. Now, in order to separate the negative 3 and the a, remember when they're side by side, you have to break them apart. And you break them apart by dividing. So we divide by a negative 3. Anytime you divide, you need to circle this number you're dividing by on the bottom. That is the number that determines if my inequality stays the same or if it flips around. Because this number we're dividing by here is a negative value, my inequality is going to flip from greater than to less than. So I have a is less than, 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2. So that's the answer, but we're going to do one better and write it in words. If a is less than negative 2, we can say we have all real numbers less than negative 2, okay? Make sure you write all that down. Okay, example 3. Example 3, I need to solve for t, but the problem is I have t in way too many different places. So I'm going to take my 10t and I'm going to move it to the left side with the 9t. So in order to move the 10t, we're just going to subtract it and subtract it. because when you subtract it from the 10t, it's no longer there, leaving you only a negative 3. Remember, 9t minus 10t is a negative 1t, and then you have plus 5. Bring down your symbol, less than or equal to. Now to get t alone, we need to move the 5. So minus 5 from both sides. Negative 1t is less than or equal to negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. We're going to divide both sides by negative 1. And remember, when you divide, look at this number. If that number is positive, you leave the inequality symbol alone. If that number is negative, you need to flip the inequality symbol around. So t is greater than or equal to positive 8. So we can say we have all real numbers in the solution greater than or equal to 8. All right, last one. We need to do some simplifying on this one before we can even start to get x by itself. So remember, if you have parentheses, your job is to get rid of those parentheses first. So 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times negative 1x is a minus 3x. Less than, bring your 10 down. Negative 3 times x is a negative 3x. And negative 3 times negative 6 is a positive 18. Okay, I can't do anything to simplify the left side anymore, but the right side, I can take this like term 10 and 18 and put those together to get 28. So 10 plus 18 is 28 minus 3x. On the other side, I still have 6 minus 3x. All right, now remember, we can't get x alone until we get all the x's to the same side. So I'm going to take my negative 3 that's on the right. I'm going to move it to the left to be with the other x. So those are gone, and I have 28. And I still have this less than symbol. But we kind of have a sticky situation here because negative 3x plus 3x on this side, again, cancels out. So I don't have anything left there but 6. I have no x's left over. When you have no x's left over to talk about, this is kind of a special situation. And you need to look at what you have and figure out, is it true or is it false? 6 is less than 28. That is a true statement. And because it is a true statement, the solution for example 4 is just all real numbers. Any number you could think of would be a solution for number 4. There are infinite solutions. That means there's so many solutions we don't know how to count them all. Infinite. All right? If you ended up with a false statement here, if this was something that's false, you'd say that there's no solution. So a true statement is all real numbers or infinite solutions. If it's false, no solution. Okay? All right, so next you're going to watch a video on solving 2 variable inequalities, and then you're going to get the assignment to practice from the substitute. All right?